Edith, has Kevin joined us yet? Thank you. Good morning, Director Jules. Director Jules, I think you might be muted. We can't really hear what you're saying.
Oh, what is wrong with the device?
We're hearing you now. Whatever you
Oh,
did
okay.
worked.
You can hear me?
5 by
Okay.
5. 5 by 5, thank you.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. I'm having a little bit of, must be connection issues. Welcome everyone to today's meeting of April 26th, 2023, meeting of the First Nations Relations Committee, confirmation of quorum.
Yes, we have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Adoption of agenda.
Move adoption. Second, Coburn.
Thank you. Thank you. Any discussion? Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carried. Sorry, I'm just getting my agenda here. I'd like to I'd also like to acknowledge that I'm on the First Nations territory, Cayuga Checklistit First Nations. Adoption of public agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I think you've already done that. I think the next item would be the adoption of the previous meeting minutes, item F.
Okay, item F, thank you. Adoption of the previous agenda minutes.
So moved, Coburn.
Meeting minutes.
Second, Vinesh.
Thank you. Any errors or omissions? Seeing none. Anyone opposed? Hear none. Motion carried. Thank you. Business. Any business arising from minutes? None. Chair's report. I do not have a report at the moment. I am in Hoopsitas right now. That moves us to staff reports. Item number 1, First Nations Cultural Awareness Training Plan.
Move receipt.
Oh, sorry. Go.
Sorry, Chair Jules. I would move that the report from the CAO be received.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
And I believe Azalee will speak to this, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. I will hand the floor over to Azalee.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, directors. My name is Azalee Millwood. I'm the First Nations liaison. Director Jules, thank you for acknowledging that you are reaching out from the territory of the Cayuga Checklistit. I would also like to acknowledge that this meeting is taking place on the traditional unceded territory of the Liquitzau people. The first item is the First Nations Cultural Awareness Training Plan. I have been doing extensive research and having meetings with different trainers. There are there are several trainers out there, and when I speak to them, I'm looking at some of the items, including cultural awareness, cultural safety. Other items are the DRIPA, UNDRIP, which I did hear interest from this First Nation Relations Committee on learning about those items. So it is a bit of a process to ensure that it is the appropriate training, and I assure you I am doing the research on that. There are some opportunities highlighted in the staff report, including as soon as May, there are some opportunities for us to learn from the local First Nations, and then we are looking at an overall training plan that will include directors and then staff. And however, with that said, I do recommend that the regional district move toward implementing the 2023 First Nations Training and Awareness Program as outlined in the April 20th, 2023 report from the administrative officer. With that, I'm very open to any questions that you have regarding the training plan. Thank you.
Thank you. I cannot see if anyone has their hands up. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I was just wondering, I guess this is a question through to staff, is this going to be open to councillors for our municipalities?
My manager, Renee Laboucaine, and CAO Leach have encouraged me to work with the other municipal government. And with that, I am building a relationship, and it is going smoothly, pending on seats and other items such as budget, what have you. I'm pretty sure we're going to incorporate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any more questions?
I think you gotta jump in again.
Oh,
Yes.
I have a question,
Yeah, go ahead.
Chair. So I was noticing at the village office in Sabalis that there was a poster about the building bridges. Excuse me, I'm just pulling it up here. Building bridges through understanding the workshop, or through understanding the village workshop. And so I don't, is that included in this on page, oh, it's on the next page. Thank you for that. Yeah, building bridges through understanding the workshops poster. Thank you for that. And I really appreciate that opportunity to have these within communities. I think that that's, I think that it is important for our first responders, for the local governments to have access to those really helpful workshops within community. So.
Yes, thank you, Director Colburn. I just wanted to mention that this is not all my doing, that staff have collaborated with me in any opportunity they have to work with myself as the First Nation Relations Committee. So this is put on through the funding from the grant, I believe it's Cultural Safety Grant that Sean Koopman from the Protective Services. So that's where we're getting into community, and that's going to be an opportunity for me to go into communities too. So I'm very pleased with that. Thank you.
Not sure if you can see, but no further questions, Mr. Chair, doesn't look like.
Okay, thank you. No further questions. We have the motion to receive. So I believe the next.
Mr. Chairman, you're still awaiting a vote on the receipt of the report?
Okay, so motion to receive report.
So the motion's been made and seconded. I think we're just waiting to vote on that, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All in favor. And I'll take your silence as a yes. I cannot see. So
I'd like to move option. Can I make a? I'd like to move option 2, that the committee recommend that the regional district move forward on implementing the 2023 First Nations Training and Awareness Program as outlined in the April 2023 report from the CAO.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussions? Hearing none, I'll call question. All in favor? Motion carried. Thank you, thank you. That moves us on to our next item, item number 2, that the report from the CAO be received.
So moved, Colburn.
Second, Mawini.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chair.
you.
I believe Asley will speak to this as well.
Thank you. I'll hand the floor over to Asley. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Jules. As I understand it, this was I believe it's a motion that went to the EASC, then to the Board of Directors to be considered by the First Nation Relations Committee. I'm just going to read it out verbatim because it's a language that I can't remember off the top of my head, but that the Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples Act, DRIPA, as a framework for reconciliation as called for in action number 43 of the Truth and Reconciliation Calls to Action 2015 be considered by the First Nation Relations Committee in the context of developing a meaningful consultation policy for the regional district. I've looked into the DRIPA, the UNDRIP, and I understand that the First Nations Relations Committee, Board of Directors, and staff did receive some training on these pieces, but certainly we're seeing this language more and more with First Nation communities in asking governments to consider them, implement a policy. So we're not exempt from that as the SRD. Certainly, we have 10 First Nations that we operate within. I highly recommend that we work towards developing a policy. I understand it's not new, but in many ways it is new. So certainly I recommend we start working towards this so that we gain an understanding and how to encourage and engage this type of dialogue that includes the UNDRIP DRIPA policy as called for by the Truth and Reconciliation Calls to Action. Thank you.
If I can, Mr. Chair, just to add a little bit of depth to that as well. So we've struggled for years here in terms of how we deal with consultation, in that we do referrals for land use all the time, and we either don't get a response back, we get a response back, and that response is positive or negative. If the response is positive, well, generally people are happy with a positive response. It's when it's negative what we do with that and how we support that. We as staff and the board don't really have any guidelines on what we support and how that aligns with DRIPA. So I think it's been a long time coming. We've struggled with this when we bring land use applications forward that the First Nation doesn't support, and then do we support that because they don't, and what is the reason for that? So this will give us, or help to give us, some guidelines of following how we support or don't First Nations consultation.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Is there any questions around the table?
It doesn't look like it.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm just reading the.
I think
Oh,
just
go
call
ahead.
question on receipt, Mr. Chair, and then there's a motion.
Yes, I'll call question on receipt. I believe that there's a motion that the committee work toward developing a First Nations consultation policy that aligns with the UNDRIP and DRIPA framework for the regional district. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I believe that would be a subsequent to the motion that's currently pending, which is simply to receive the report, which has not been voted on yet.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Motion to receive the report.
You have a first.
Oh, we
and
did that.
just,
Correct.
Just a question.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I'll call question. Anyone abstaining? Any opposed? Seeing none. Carried. So then that moves us on to B, correct?
Yeah, if someone will move that motion.
I can move it. I'd like to move
Thank
that the
you.
committee work towards developing a First Nations consultation policy that aligns with the UNDRIP and DRIPA framework for the regional district.
Second, Colburn.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion carried. And that moves us on to the director's report. Okay, is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. So that the Association of Vancouver Island and Coastal Communities Reconciliation, who would be speaking to this one?
I think just
Director Mooney.
a motion to receive.
Okay, a motion to receive the report.
I can make that motion that the April 20th report from Director Ruwania regarding the reconciliation sessions at the AVICC 2023 Association of Vancouver Island Coastal Communities Convention be received.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I think Director Maloney will speak to this.
I'll hand the
Or
floor
not,
over.
I'll
to
leave that up
Director
to her.
Okay, well, I guess I'm speaking to it now.
Mooney.
Well, I wasn't sure if everyone had had a chance to hear what Director John Jack had to say, Chair Director John Jack, and I really appreciated what his message was, and I wanted to share it with the committee here. I didn't have a motion specifically, but I'm hoping that everyone had a chance to read the report. And since then, I have been thinking about some other information that was shared during a legislative reform session also at AVICC, which talked about the potential of regional districts creating advisory groups of First Nation members that would not necessarily be only nations who have achieved treaty or are close to treaty, and it might be an opportunity to consider that. I don't know how exactly, if we have the authority to recommend that from this committee, but it's something that I thought would have value and work towards reconciliation.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Director? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I'm very thankful that so I was there for this and for the presentation. It was really inspirational. I think it was probably the best part of AVICC for me. And I'm very thankful to Director Mooney for putting up the SoundCloud link. I think that the access to that and the opportunity to be able to share that out and inspire others in turn is a really good thing to include in this report. I unfortunately missed the first session, which was the legislative reform, but I would be really interested in delving further into that and what that means for regional districts and for municipalities. I think that this is, while recognizing the busyness of nations, I think that this is a long time coming that nations are recognized whether they are treaty or not. I think that it's important to have those voices at the table no matter where they are in that process. And so I was really happy to see that it was on the agenda for AVICC, and also looking forward to what comes out of it that we may choose to implement here. So thank you.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you very much. Any further discussion?
Well, I would speak to what Director Colburn said, which was something that was mentioned at the legislative reform session when they were talking about creating advisory groups with First Nations members, and that was that because there is capacity issues, I think it's really important to be respectful and pay people to participate in those rather than expecting volunteerism. So that's something that I would add.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any more discussions? Hearing none, I'll call question. Any opposed?
Can I make a motion, Chair? Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, yeah, I think just call question on receipt, and then I think we have a subsequent.
Okay, question on receipt. And all in favor? And we have a subsequent, correct?
Yeah, just acknowledging that, you know, as we move into an era where consultation is being valued more by government, and that we're looking for meaningful ways to do this, recognizing the challenges and capacity with First Nations communities within our district. I'd like to make a motion for a staff report on how we can meaningfully engage First Nations given the capacity issues that they have, including you know, compensating them for their time.
Okay, do we have a seconder?
I'll second it with an amendment.
Okay, thank you.
If we can add to that a piece about what the requirements, what the outline would be to create such an advisory group.
Well, I was just going to say, if everyone's clear on that or not, we have it recorded so we can extract a motion of that, but is everyone clear on the motion and the intent? Okay, then I would say if no more comment, or maybe?
I'll second that that motion. The amendment to the, I'll second the motion, amendment to the motion.
And just so everyone is clear, the amendment was to include information about what that would look like to have an advisory group at the SRD here.
Okay, thank you. Any more discussions? Not, I'll call question. I'll take your silence is in favor. All in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. New business, addendum items, closed session, motion to terminate.
There is some new business.
I'm sorry, I
Sure.
just, as Director Davis, I just want to make a short verbal report, if that's okay.
Okay, yes, go ahead. The floor is yours. Thank you.
About 3 weeks ago, we had a totem awakening ceremony in Tassus at the Coast Guard Center, where a short totem had been carved as one of the pillars of the building. And it was well attended by the community, and Mo-Chop Mushlat First Nation came out and sang some of their traditional songs of awakening. So that was really inspiring for the community. We are also working on a joint economic development plan using the same consultants between the Village of Tassus and Mo-Chop Mushlat First Nation. And what else? Oh, and I've been invited to the UQuat, what's it called? I've forgotten now. They have a summer camp there, which is attended by the community, and I've been invited as mayor, and that's the first time that's occurred, although I have attended it before, so that's a good sign. Oh, UQuat Summerfest, that's what it is. It's the 40th anniversary, so looking forward to that. So that's my report.
I'll make a motion
Amazing,
to receive
amazing.
that report.
And I will second
right, thank
that,
you.
Director Moini.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call question. All in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. And thank you for that. That moves us on to termination.
I'll make that motion.
Second, Vinesh.
Thank you. All right. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys at 12:30.
Thank you, Chair Jules.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. True. Have a good day, everyone.